Hi, everyone. I want to say welcome to Digital Marketing 101. I'm Calla Moody, one of the assistant directors in the Alumni Affairs office at Berkeley. It's so great to see so many people here. Actually, I think we have quite a huge group. And once again, this is Digital Marketing 101 with Marie Chadima. Marie is a Musa Marketing LLC. She's been in the media advertising field for the past 6 years and contributed to various roles from out-of-home media buying in the Asia Pacific region to integrated media strategy in Los Angeles for the global Xbox account, my apologies. Anne-Marie is passionate about bringing the affordability and strategy of digital marketing to the creatives. So without further ado, Anne-Marie, please take it away.
Awesome. Thanks. I'm so excited to be here and to share this with you. I'm going to get into a brief intro, let you know what I'm going to be talking about today, and how to prepare yourself. I'm going to say this several times throughout. Do not worry about trying to screenshot or write everything down. This will be available to you in PDF form at the end of this. So really just focus on taking the notes that you need that are specific to you, and hold on to your questions, write down your questions as well so that you don't forget those. So I'm going to jump straight into it. So again, I want to thank you for just letting me impart my knowledge. I get really excited about this. I love helping people out. I love talking about this stuff. I'm really passionate about it. So thanks for sitting down with me. Grab your note-taking material, whatever it is, whether it is pen and paper, laptop, whatever you need to kind of keep track of everything. And again, writing down your questions. And then, yeah, I already got a really nice intro. But I just wanted to go over, just so you know a little bit more about me and kind of the viewpoint that I'm coming from, that you can, so that you understand more behind what it is that I'm going to be teaching, is that within advertising, I was a global media strategist. So, and I started in China, and I did that here in LA as well before breaking off and starting my own marketing agency. And that was, my role was to take the ad that what we would call the creatives would make. They would shoot and produce the commercial, or they would make the still ad. And then I would make sure that it was put at the right place at the right time for the right customer to achieve the company's business goals. So just making sure that that was aligned. So I'm coming from a very strategic and technical background. So there's not going to be there's not really going to be a lot of creative knowledge behind how you should be presenting the visual look of your ads, but more rather getting really honed in on your target audience, how to speak to them, and how to build your audience in preparation for whatever goal it is that you want to achieve through advertising. So that's my background. By the end of this training, you will have learned the fundamentals of branding, marketing, and advertising, how to build your fan base, how to achieve your goals with or without an advertising budget, if that is something that I just wanted to let you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money, but depending on how much you want to work will determine your goals. And then next is how to make a strategic framework. So I'm really going to be getting into understanding branding, marketing, and advertising. And then I'm also going to be equipping you with how to build a framework, how to build an action plan to take everything that you're learning today and go out and execute and apply to your businesses or your music well beyond this training. So I'm going to jump into what is marketing. So marketing, branding, and advertising, all of this gets very convoluted, and it's no fault of anybody's own. Nobody just sits down and explains this stuff to people. So it can get very confusing because none of it's really defined. So I figured I'd tell a little story before we get off the ground with this. And let's say, for the sake of marketing, let's say the circus is coming to town. Okay, and you're bringing this circus to town and you want to make it a success. And let's say you paint a sign saying that the circus is coming to town. You would call that advertising, right? Now, if you put the sign on the back of an elephant and you walk that elephant into town, that would be promotion. And a little side to that, if you put a carpet over the elephant with your logo on it, that would be branding. Next, if the elephant walks through the mayor's flower bed and the local newspaper writes a story about it, that would be publicity. Now, whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, you know, that's up to them. And then if you, let's say, you get this publicity, but you were able to get the mayor to laugh about it, that would be PR, and that would be good PR. And then if the town citizens go to the circus, let's say they go, and you show them all the booths and how much fun they'll have if they buy tickets to the circus, and if they buy a lot of money at the circus, we would be calling that sales. And then if you're able to do all of this, if you plan all of this and you put all of this together, that is marketing. So I hope that clears up a lot for people. I figured that would be the easiest way to try and explain this. Of course, it could be applied, you know, if you were to say, if you're bringing a concert to town, this is advertising, promotion, publicity, PR, sales, you get it. Oh, awesome, good. People can hear now. I'm like oscillating between several screens. So I'm gonna be trying to watch the comments and stuff. But again, make sure you hold your questions because I'm leaving plenty of time for questions at the end. So that is marketing. Next, oh, here we go. An overview, I'm just gonna give a brief overview of branding, marketing and advertising. This is what I presented at the Berkeley Resource Fair a couple of months ago. I wasn't able to get super deep into it, but the point is that after this overview, we'll be doing a deep dive so that I can really explain this to you, and so that you can understand how you can apply it to your businesses. So first, branding is the look and feel of who you are. And this consists of your logo, your color palette, and your messaging tone. Next is marketing, and this is engaging and building your community through your owned channels to connect and share and build. So when I say owned channels, those are the platforms that you have direct control over, that you more than likely manage every single day. So that would be your website, that would be your personal or your music's or business's social media, stuff that you have direct control over. And then there's advertising, and this is to grow your community faster than if you were to do it organically or without paying to promote. And this is exposing yourself to new and relevant audiences. And the best way to describe advertising is what you're doing when you advertise on these platforms is you're telling these platforms that, and say, hey, you see my current followers, my current fan base, go find people who are just like this, because if you find people who are just like this, more than likely you're going to love what I have to offer. And that's how you grow your audience faster. Next, I'm going to briefly do a warning about Vanity Metrics. I touched on this at the resource fair as well, but it is so worth repeating because it is so important. And that's, you know, these are the bots and the softwares that inflate audiences with filler hollow followers or hollow followers. And why this does not work for you and why you want to avoid it is because it dilutes your true fan base. So let's say your true fan base are death metal fans that also love zombie video games. And then you pay for these bots and softwares to fluff up the numbers with filler or fake or hollow followers. You're diluting that super strong and potent fan base of people who love death metal and zombie video games. You're diluting that so that in the future, if you do want to use advertising, it becomes impossible to target and market to sell to people later on. Because again, like I said, you use advertising that you tell these platforms, like, go find replicas of these people because these people are my true fan base. These are the ideal fans or customers that I'm looking for. If you dilute that, then your advertising will fall flat. The reason, and to expand on this a little more, major record labels that have artists that appeal to mass audiences, this doesn't apply to them. And the reason why is they appeal to so many different people that the filler followers are those hollow followers don't even matter anymore, because let's say like a band like Coldplay is going to appeal to a super wide range of people. So it doesn't even matter anymore. But if you're more of an indie artist, keeping your fan base pure and your followers pure is so incredibly important to be successful later on. So that's touching on Vanity Metrics. Now let's get into branding, marketing, and advertising. We're going to be doing a deep dive, first starting with branding. And again, that's the look and feel of who you are, right? So I'm going to be going over, this involves your logo, your colors, and your tone. Not what you say, but how you say what you say. That's your voice, your personality, the person behind your music or your business. So logos, I'm going to be going over iconic logos and colors just to show how powerful this is and how easy it is to recognize these things, even if you were to only see one of these. So with the logo of specifically Mickey Mouse within Disney, you will see these colors and you instantly know that that's Mickey Mouse, not even Minnie Mouse. Next, we have McDonald's, iconic. Again, there's no writing around here, but we know who these are, and it's because their logo is so consistent. It's simple and consistent, and we get bombarded with it to the point where brand recognition, we recognize these brands instantly. And these are McDonald's colors. And now if you notice, the reds are not completely the same between the two. The yellows aren't completely the same between the two. And that's why if you are going to choose a color, make sure you have your color code and you are consistent with that, because if you show a different, let's say, oh, like my color is blue. Well, it's like, okay, what kind of blue? What color of blue? If you show a different blue every single time you send marketing messaging out, you are going to be confusing your audience, and it'll be harder and harder for them to recognize you and identify you later on. So getting this color palette down is extremely important. Next, Google iconic colors. We see these all the time, and these haven't changed. Even though their logo has, their colors haven't. And that's how powerful colors can be. Next, with the tone, understanding how you would create your tone for your branding in your messaging. This is going to be your brand voice, your personality, again, the person behind the music or your business, and the purpose behind your marketing message. So why do you do what you do? Why do you want people to follow you and to believe in you and to kind of be with you on this journey? That is so important. And people try to make this more complicated than it really is, but if you are using your personality and you are authentically speaking from who you are as a person, this should be natural, because you already do it on a day-to-day basis, with people that you know, your friends. That is the natural tone that should be coming out in your messaging. So that shouldn't be complicated, shouldn't be difficult. And once you settle on a logo and your colors, you never have to think about this again, but it's so important that you get this locked down before you do your marketing and advertising, or else it will be extremely inconsistent. Let me see, I'm looking at, got to move my messaging thing. If they don't know what a circus is, you could use a concert. People know what concerts are. Sorry, I'm getting used to oscillating between all these windows. But keep the questions coming. Next is marketing. We're gonna deep dive on marketing. So these again are your owned channels and your messaging. Again, owned channels are your website, your social media, your YouTube channel, whatever you have direct control over. Channels, messaging, and growth, and how to take this beyond. I've got another slide talking about taking this marketing to grow your fan base directly after this. So we've got your channels, we've got your messaging. So your marketing messaging is your brand voice, your personality, your tone. So think about tone as in Mickey Mouse and Apple would both say hello. They can both say hello, but they both say it completely differently. That is your tone. That is your brand voice. Plus your business goal. What action do you want your audience to take as a result of seeing this messaging? Is it to buy tickets to a show? Is it to buy an album? Is it to buy a subscription to a side service that you have, like a digital comic or something that comes out every month. What is that business goal? So using that brand voice plus your business goal is your marketing message. You want them to take action. You want to inform, you want to entertain, you want to touch base, you want to grow a relationship with these people, but at the same time, you want them to know what you are offering, what is available to them, and how they can take action on that. Next is growth, organic versus paid. Paid is going to be advertising. Just like I said, you pay for these tools to go out and find replicas of the audience that you've already built. If you have not built your audience yet, you need to start organically. Best way you can do this is if you find artists or companies that offer something very similar, or if what you offer is complementary to what they offer, more than likely that audience will really enjoy what you have to offer. And therefore, if you go through their followers and you follow them, you engage with them, you like and comment on their own pages, you will slowly build your fan base organically. And just think about this is, if you're on social media and you wanted to make new friends, you would want to find people with similar interests, who have friends who will probably you'll hit it off well with, and then you engage with them, connect with them, touch base with them. It's no different than building an audience for your music or your business. So you need to have a couple thousand followers before paid advertising becomes worth it. Otherwise, your audience size will be too small for advertising to be successful. Because basically it all comes down to data, and those tools need enough data to know for sure the type of person that they need to go after to promote who you are and what it is you have to offer to build your fan base faster with paid advertising. We can talk about more as far as techniques and stuff like that later, but that's the gist, between manually doing it yourself and working on it daily, and paying for these tools to do it for you. And then nurturing and meeting your target audience's needs. So this is really important. Just because you engage with somebody one day doesn't mean that you never have to engage with them again. If people are liking and commenting on your stuff, respond to it. Use it as an opportunity to build a relationship with these people. If they're liking and commenting on your stuff, go to their page, like and comment on their stuff. And that's how you start building your relationships with these people. That's how you build your audience. And then meeting your target audience's needs. Obviously, right now, my next course, my next workshop will be really to focus on how to navigate specifically this time, because COVID has turned everything on its head. So just understanding what your target audience's needs are right now. And a lot of that has to do with escaping and entertainment, because we're all stuck at home going crazy. So just really being sensitive to those things, delivering on those things. Again, you are here for your audience. Your audience is not here to, deliver on what you need. You are here to meet them in the same way that you are customers, or you are fans of other companies. They are meeting your needs. They're not like, example, like I've seen a couple of times where people are like, oh, I see how many people are watching my videos. I know there's way more people watching my videos than liking them. Why aren't you liking them? That's not their job. They are here to receive what it is you have to offer, not to be delivering on your needs as a business. You're here to meet their needs. So just understanding that you're here to give value to them. You're here to be what they need right now, if they're interested in engaging and hanging out and sticking around. So now that we understand marketing, how do you build your fan base? I touched on these things a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it. And again, that's your brand voice, but also using your audience's vocabulary. So there are, when you go to the doctor, think about this. When you go to the doctor, if the doctor excuse me, if the doctor were to only speak Latin to you, because most medical terms are Latin, if he was only to speak Latin to you when you're sick, you're not going to understand anything he says. So doctors know this more than anybody. They have to find a way to level with their patients so that their patients understand what they're saying and what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing, right? By using vocabulary that like the average person can understand, the person who didn't go, to medical school can understand. You have to do this with your audience. It's not that difficult, or it's not that complicated. Thank goodness for artists. It's really easy for people to understand artists when they're talking about things, but for businesses, they kind of can get a little too technical. They can get too high level and really lose their audience, and lose that opportunity for connection, building a relationship, and then ultimately selling to them. If your audience can't understand what it is that you're saying because it's too technical or too high level for them, you will not see the results that you're looking for in your marketing. So making sure that you're leveling with them, or even, using, if they have lingo or jokes or inside jokes with you, use them, build them, take advantage of those opportunities for them to feel like you are speaking directly to them and connecting with them. Next is treat every marketing effort as an opportunity to connect, build, and entertain your audience. Think of that as you're touching base with your friends every day. What would they enjoy? What would they laugh at? What would they want to see more of? And making sure that you're using every opportunity you have when you post something, when you update something, when you upload something, just make sure that it does one of these three things. And then again, authentically respond to and engage with these people as people, to build a diehard fan base. And you know what? Every engagement that somebody makes with you is not, I'm sure everybody in some form or fashion in their life has experienced the trolls, right? The mean people who have nothing else, better to do than to go and say mean things for no reason, right? Even those interactions, even those engagements are opportunities to showcase your personality, how you handle difficult situations, or how you handle difficult people or ridiculous people. It is another opportunity to show that side of you, and people who love you, who are fans of you, will appreciate that. So don't shy away. I'm not saying don't entertain and kind of like poke the bear kind of a thing, because you can't win when it comes to trolls, because that's what they want. But if you can kind of showcase who you are by managing that in more of a positive way, it does nothing but help you. So it's another key advice I have for dealing with trolls. Now we're getting into advertising. So we've done branding, marketing, and now we're in advertising. Paid promotion for growth. So this is once you have a solid, fan base. You've got a couple thousand people. It is consistent. You don't have any weird fillers or hollow followers. You're going to want to start experimenting with advertising. The 3 pillars of advertising is targeting. Make sure your targeting is solid. Your messaging is powerful and it makes people want to take action when they see it. And then building upon what you learn from the targeting and messaging and taking that with you. So targeting, bare basics, comes down to age, gender, interests, both direct, say, going back to the example of the death metal fans that also love zombie games. What if they also have a pet? That's an adjacent but relevant interest, right? Or hobby. Because if you're thinking about, I want the targeting to focus on people who are just like my current target audience, and you know that most of them have a pet, you don't want Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Google to focus on people who don't have pets, even if they are death metal fans and like they have an affinity for zombie video games, just because you know that is your audience, right? So really understanding what their interests are, or where they shop, or what shows they watch, or what uh, are they into coffee or tea? You know, you really got to kind of put your ear to the ground and really listen and pay attention to what it is that your audience talks about, what they're into. And the bigger your fan base, the more data you have, the more trends you can see within those within that audience in these tools. These tools are extremely powerful and useful if you know how to use them. Targeting is so important. And then taking A/B testing, right? So let's say you would A/B test fans that have pets, fans that have a cat for one test, fans that have a dog. See which one responds better, right? Oh, I see the question. Hold on, let me read. What are your points? Yes. So when specifically within Facebook, I'm not going to be able to get into the ways that you can, the way that you use the tools, but absolutely Facebook and Google are really good at this, where you will put in, like, let's say, again, death metal fans that love zombie video games, you put that in as your overall targeting, and then it will spit out all of these other adjacent interests that they also have. So I was doing advertising for a local fashion designer who was very avant-garde, kind of like comme des garçons kind of a thing. And when I was testing out her audiences, they also had an affinity for Tory Burch. And Tory Burch, if you know, like, fashion, is very preppy. It's not avant-garde. It's not Tokyo Street style. It's like pretty preppy. But they also had an affinity for it, and we would have never guessed. And we would have missed out on that targeting and including those people in the targeting. So these tools do spit out examples that you can run with and you can test, but it's only after you test that you will know if they work specifically for you. So that's why it's so important. And when you're doing these A/B testing, so you'll have different targeting groups, and then you want to use the same ad, same messaging, same everything for each target group, so that they're seeing the same thing, right? Because you don't want to, if you're using different ads and different messaging, then you're not going to know who responds to what better. And it only takes 2 days of testing. It doesn't take forever. 2 days, depending on how much money you spend and how big the target group is. 2 days to 5 days should be able to give you a really good understanding of what to run with. And Facebook will tell you, like, it will highlight, like, this is the winning audience. So you turn off the other ads, you run with that one, and then from there you can get more and more specific. So, you know, within, like, Tory Burch, do they also like Coach, or do they also like, you know, these other weird things? Like, you start broad, and then you get more and more and more and more focused. The more focused, the more detailed you are, the more powerful your results will be. 100% guaranteed. Because we all know, it goes back to the theory of, you can't please everybody, so don't even try. You want to focus on the very specific type of people who are going to be crazy about you, and then just deliver to them what they want, what they're looking for, right? So that's the testing, that's the targeting. Then there is messaging. So that the messaging, so let's say you got your targeting, you're like, okay, I want to focus on these people, and now I'm going to make the ad. There's the visual for the ad, whatever that is to you. If it's promoting a show you're going to be playing at when all this COVID stuff is gone, or you're launching this, or you're going to drop a single, whatever it is, you're going to want to put that into the ad, into the creative, which is the visual part. And in the messaging, what is the action that you want them to take, given that they see this information? Or what is the opportunity they can take advantage of now, having seen this information, right? Now that they're seeing the ad. So the marketing message, again, it's your brand voice, it's your personality, not complicated. It's your tone, it's who you are, it's why people love you. It's your business goal. What is it that you're offering? What action do you want them to take? What opportunity do you want them to take advantage of? With it packaged in your target audience's language, in your fans' language. You want to speak to them. You want them to feel like you are speaking directly to them, and the only way you can do that is by using their vocabulary, how they talk about these things, how they think about these things, how they understand these things. Next, building beyond, again, going with that winning A/B test and getting more and more specific, getting more and more diversified in the nuances of those interests is going to be really important. And then you just continue, very simple. You cut the stuff that isn't working. You put more of your budget into the winner, because you're going to be splitting your budget against different testing. Cut out the stuff that doesn't work. You take that budget that was going to those things and put it into the winner, and you just continue to refine from there. Now, making it all work together. So we've talked about branding, the look and feel. We've talked about marketing, how to manage your channels and your messaging and how to build your audience, then advertising, how to take that and go and find replicas of the audience that you worked so hard to build. Understanding how this all works together in one place. I wanted to be able to visualize this for you. Your branding, once you have your identity, once you have that on point, you know your color codes, you have your logo, the minute people look and see a visual representation of you, they immediately get a picture of what you're all about. Got your branding, your identity down. Then you can start focusing on your marketing, because then from there, everything that you deliver is consistent. It is and it's reinforcing itself over and over and over again. You can make your messaging, you can define your target audience and start building that fan group with marketing. And then you take it above and beyond and you promote to more people identical to your target audience, and you grow upon that base fan group. And then you just keep building from there. So that's how all of this is adding up. It's like math. If you can't, subtract and divide, you can't do algebra, right? If you don't have branding, you can't be successful at marketing or advertising. If you don't have marketing down on lock, and if you don't have a solid base group, your advertising, it's going to take a very long time to see the results that you want to see with advertising. My goal is that once you're ready, because we all have such limited resources, right? My goal is that by the time you're ready for advertising, it just works for you. You're not struggling to make advertising work because you did all that hard work in preparation before. Therefore, advertising, you will have to learn. You'll have to do some A/B testing, but it's not going to take years to figure out. It's going to take months. That's my goal for you. Now, the key to getting branding, marketing, and advertising to really work for you. Hold on 1 second. Okay, yeah. Just checking the chat group. The key to getting branding, marketing, and advertising to work for you, and this is really important, is knowing your number one goal. So often people look at, marketing and stuff, and they're like, I know I need to do it, so I'm just gonna throw myself out there and see what happens. And it's kind of like leaving everything up to chance and luck. Every once in a while it works, but the more strategic you are, the more intentional you are behind why you're even doing marketing. Why are you even putting all this effort into this? It's not to just be present. It's to be present on these platforms, to be present with your fans with a purpose behind it. Present with a purpose, right? So knowing your number one goal. What is it that you want to achieve with marketing? Very few people, ask themselves, like, oh, well, it's just marketing, so I'm just going to do it. But if you don't have a purpose behind it, how will you achieve like any goal that you have, And so I want you to get results faster, and you get results faster by by having a plan. So knowing your number one goal, define what your ideal outcome looks like as a result of doing all this hard work and building that audience. Again, is it to sell merch? Is it to sell music? What is it? And then work backwards from this goal. Create a plan working backwards to make your strategic framework and your action plan. This is where we're going to be getting into laying out an example, right? So this is the strategic framework example, and this is after your branding is solidified. So, I can tell you, you need a logo and you need a color wheel, but I can't tell you what your logo is going to look like. I can't tell you what your color wheel is going to look like. I can tell you that the more simple it is, the better it is for you, because again, you don't want to overstimulate people and to where it's like difficult for them to identify you and they just kind of check out. They're like, okay, whatever, that's like too complicated or weird. I can say, being more simple is better, but that is ultimately your journey. Whether you're doing it yourself or you are hiring a designer to do it for you, either way, it's worth doing, but you can't proceed with this strategic framework until that is solidified if you want to see results. So let's say an example, your number one goal is, I want to sell an album in 6 months, right? What do I need to do between now and 6 months from now to successfully launch or drop this album, right? So let's see what that looks like working backwards with a timeline. First, you need to define your target audience. So even, within your fan base, if there's a portion of your fans that only like to go to shows and for whatever reason, let's say that they don't want to buy music, you want to get very, very, very specific in defining who they are, what age they are, what their interests are, so that you can paint the picture of your perfect fan for this goal that would absolutely love to buy an album in 6 months from you, right? And then understanding the messaging that's going to be centered around achieving that goal while connecting and building a relationship with your target audience. This, if it's done well, because more than likely you're not going to get it on lock the first time. Nobody does, right? This is going to take about a month to really, really focus and really get it defined. Next is you want to figure out where to place that messaging for where your target audience is, right? So let's say oftentimes people just spread themselves thin and they're like, I'm just going to be anywhere and everywhere and hope that I catch people's attention. Well, if your target audience isn't on YouTube, don't waste your time on YouTube. Or if they're not on Pinterest, don't waste your time on Pinterest. It doesn't matter. Focus on the places where they already are. And you do that by observing them, right? Observing, let's see, apart from social media, is there any other tool that you can recommend to know who your target audience is? So honestly, no. And the reason being is other tools that would be able to do this without looking at social media are extremely expensive, and they deal with huge, huge data. Another way that you can identify who your target audience is without tools is, and I do this with all of my clients, I say, think back to one of the most perfect customers you ever had. From A to Z, the experience was amazing. They were happy, they were elated, they evangelized you and your products and your services. They went and told people, you got referrals from them. It was all around such a awesome experience to work with them. That is your target audience. Really dig deep into understanding who they are. So for people who are selling music or people who are artists, and everybody has this, someone who has just been such an awesome fan. And when I mean fan, it's not so much somebody that you grew up with, somebody who knows you really well, but somebody who discovers you or has discovered you and has just fallen in love with you. And they go to your shows or they show up on your streams, or they're there and you have such an awesome time and you really connect with them, and both of you understand each other, and you both gain like such an amazing experience through interacting with each other. That is your target audience. That ideal person, you want to break them down. You want to, you know, where do they live? How old are they? What are they into? Where do they, what kind of work do they do? Are they married? Do they have kids? You know, that kind of a thing. That's a really great way to at least have a starting point for understanding who your ideal target audience is. So I hope that helps. But if you have even a little bit of a following on social media, you should be able to get at least some starting points on what to explore, and test with. So I hope that answers your question. If not, drop another one and I'll focus on that one too. So place that messaging where your target audience is. So we've got our goal. You've defined your target audience. You have an idea of who that is, whether you see it through your online social media tools from your following, or again, thinking back to that perfect customer, that perfect fan that you've had. Developing messaging for that target audience, focusing on that goal, using your personality, focusing on the goal or the opportunity that you want your target audience to take advantage of, but at the same time using your audience's vocabulary. And then placing that messaging where your target audience is. So again, if they're not Pinterest, don't go to Pinterest. You do not have to put effort into places that your target audience is, because they're not there. They're not looking there. You want to go where their eyeballs are, right? And you just want to be there. You want to plug into traffic streams of where your target audience already is, instead of trying to be places that they aren't, right? That is going to take 2 months. So placing that messaging where your target audience is. This is also the marketing, the cultivating the audience, the interaction, the building with them. This is going to take some time. Building audiences organically or on your own takes time, but it is worth it, because remember, you're building a potent and consistent target audience, especially when you are controlling it yourself. Let's look at this question. So a good following. So Facebook and Instagram, social media outlets need a couple thousand. I would say a couple thousand to 5,000 before they have enough data to really start seeing trends. If you think about, every single person is a data point. These tools need enough data to aggregate to, like, if they're like looking at the overall trends and they were all balled together and you're like, okay, what's the majority look like? You need to have enough. So I would say starting with a couple thousand is fine. And if you are working on, again, if just going back, just so I can be consistent, if you are a death metal band, going to other death metal band pages, looking at their followers, following them, engaging with them, liking their content, and slowly gaining followers that way. Doing that consistently. When I say consistently, that takes like 20 to 30 minutes a day. I do it for my own pages, right as I'm waking up in the morning. There's also a limit to how many you can follow and unfollow a day. So on average, it's around 200, and you don't want to push that, because if you push that, then you'll kind of get barred from Instagram. All of this stuff is online. Yeah. So you need a couple thousand. You don't need a whole lot, and it doesn't take long to get there. It shouldn't take more than a month, and a month, again, that's developing the messaging for that target audience, that's developing the target audience, that's cultivating it. So when you say, how do you know where your target audience is? So the best way you can do this on your own is, if you're looking at, let's say you have your following, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, and you just go to their own pages, where are they sourcing their content from? that will tell you where their eyeballs are, right? So if you've got someone uh, who's a fan of you, you go to their page and you see that they post a lot of uh, cooking videos. You know that they're spending time from like Food Network, they're spending time on Food Network. Or if you see that they're posting a lot of memes, what accounts are they sourcing their memes from? Who are they referencing? Who are they watching? Who else are they incorporating into their content that they're sharing? Um, that isn't yours. That will tell you where they are. That will also be a really great window into understanding their personality, how they think about, they talk about things, observing those things. That's how you'll be able to see where they are. If they're sharing a lot of stuff from Pinterest, then you need to be on Pinterest. If they're posting a lot of videos from YouTube, you can invest time in putting stuff on YouTube that's yours. That's how you would know, just clicking through and observing who your audience is and where they are and what they are sharing. I feel like I have a lot of random followers who have somehow found me and are not actually in line with my target audience or brand, if that makes sense. How do I account for it? Yeah. So here's what's interesting. And audiences will surprise you. Just like I said, with the avant-garde fashion designer I was working for, it was kind of like an Asian Tokyo kind of street style. But their fans also loved Tory Burch. Look at those people. If they are, sometimes depending on the platform, you can figure out where they came from. Also, if you have Google Analytics and you have a website and people are going there, Google Analytics will tell you where they came from. That's also extremely valuable. That'll also tell you where your target audience is if you're paying attention to those things. So if they are following you and they're engaging with you and they like you, they are your followers. And I know that, unless, I can't imagine that somebody would go out of their way to follow something or someone that they didn't like. So maybe that is a window into understanding an audience or a type of people that is untapped for you. Look at that. If there is a consistency there, if there are patterns there, I would pay attention to that, because people don't follow accounts for nothing. I can at least say it. I don't run around following random accounts because I like it. I usually follow something because I see value in it, and I want to see more. So that's actually really interesting, and that's very curious. So follow that, study that. Should you use apps that allow you to post the same thing on multiple social media sources at once to help? Yeah. So I'm a big fan of tools that help you post on multiple social media channels. There's plenty of them out there. It doesn't really matter which one you use as long as you personally like it. That cuts down tons of work for people instead of going individually. I would just make sure that the messaging makes sense for the platform. So we all know that we can't click on links that is in the within a post of Instagram, right? You can click on tags, but you can't, the links are unclickable unless it's in the bio, right? So just make sure that it's formatted appropriately for the post or for the platform, but I'm a big advocate of that. Whatever helps you do this faster and easier, do it 100%. And also, you'll realize how much time you save when you're willing to invest in a tool that will help you do that. Hootsuite is one of them. That is the most popular one. But again, just because I like that one or I've used that one doesn't mean it's gonna be like appropriate for you. But Googling it, looking at the top 10 that are recommended, and then exploring, like, does the user interface work for you, or does it drive you crazy? Myself, I've used several different email marketing platforms, and the only and they all do the same thing, but it's the user experience that sells you or not. I personally like MailChimp for emails after trial and error with other ones. So, I mean, I can make my recommendation, but you should explore a couple of them at least. Hootsuite. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Try that. There's plenty more, but yeah, and you do, and the reason I approach this the most economical way, which is why I haven't referenced those yet, but you do have to pay for a subscription to those. So if that is within your budget, definitely do it. It's not necessary, but it does make your life easier. Yeah, so definitely explore it if you're willing to spend money on it. Next is, so you're replacing that messaging where your target audience is, you're cultivating those relationships, you're authentically communicating, you're dealing with the haters, you're dealing with the people who love you, you're kind of building your family, right? You're building people who will stick around thick or thin, who are waiting to learn more about you and what you have to offer. Those are the people that you want. You want to get them so excited, right? Next is then you're going to grow your target audience organically and test new target audiences. So again, when you're ready for it, exploring with that A/B testing, uncovering untapped audiences that you had no clue would even be interested in you, and running with that, seeing where that goes. That's taking your growth to the next level. This takes a solid 3 months. And people, when they launch advertising, they're like, oh, I just want to see immediate results, but that's just not how it works right now, unfortunately. You really have to put in the time, put in the work, and before it's about 3 month mark. If you're consistent with it, you start to figure out who it is that you need to focus on more and to grow that audience. And if you don't want to do advertising, if you don't want to test, that's totally fine. You just continue with the organic methods that I referenced earlier, just finding more artists that are just like you, following, engaging, and liking content from their followers, and letting that grow naturally is also extremely powerful. So working on that consistently, and then by 6 months, you've been doing all this hard work, you know how to talk to them now, you know how to connect with them, you know how to build them, you know how to identify more of your ideal fan base, then it's time to launch. So you've put into all this work into building that healthy big audience, and so by the time you launch something, it's a no-brainer, it's a slam dunk. You've lined everything up to promote something with success. Too many times people skip everything in between, and then they don't have a goal and they don't have a direction, and they just kind of put it out into the universe and hope that it does something. Like I said, that rarely works. So with testing your target audience, going back to when you're doing A/B testing in the advertising platforms, if you, again, just for consistency's sake, going back and say, when I was talking about how your target audience, that your target audience in general is they're death metal fans, and they like zombie video games, but you also start to realize that a majority of them have pets, right? If you wanted to test which one would be more responsive to a promotion or to your music, you say, okay, Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever, I want you to find people who are very similar to my target audience, but I'm going to test my target, replicas of my target audience that are death metal fans and like zombie video games. One test, and they all have pets, but one test specifically, they have a cat, and then one test they have a dog, and then one test they have like an exotic bird or a reptile or a snake or whatever, right? That's an example of A/B testing replicas of your current target audience and figuring out which one is more responsive to what you are offering them. So again, going back to the fashion designer that I worked for, realizing that they had this like the theme of the clothing was like Asian Tokyo street style, and realizing that their audience also had an affinity and enjoyed Tory Burch, which is a very preppy, it's like a Kate Spade kind of a thing. And you would think that those people wouldn't like Tory Burch, but they do. So now we include that in the targeting. We discovered that through A/B testing, just testing, like it's like, okay, people who like Tokyo street style and Tory Burch versus, let's say, Kate Spade or Coach, or all these things that you think wouldn't be interesting. And then it exploded with Tory Burch. So that, and then once you put that out and you test for a couple days to 5 days on Facebook, $20 to $30 a day, depending on how big your audience is. At the end, you set the testing dates, you set the daily budget, you put these into the targeting, you show every single test group the same ad. At the end, Facebook or these other platforms will highlight and show you and tell you which one was the winning audience. So, let's say you're doing like $20 a day for a couple of days for each of these. The ones that didn't respond as well, you cut those out, you put the budget, the remaining budget that is no longer being spent on the other testing, you put that into the winning audience, and then you continue to get more specific by taking that audience. So, let's say like Tokyo street style that likes Tory Burch, and then you get more specific. Okay, within this target audience, do they have a cat? Do they have a dog? Or these are just examples, but figuring out what other affinities they have and get more and more and more and more specific, so that when you are ready to launch something, your audience is so perfectly aligned with what you have to offer, because the majority of them respond so well. When you do launch something, you are setting yourself up for success. I hope I'm making sense. Well, producing content in order to define the audience, right? So thinking about continuously producing content, so that, yes, that is part of it. So whenever you're when I say producing content, I'm not saying like a music video every day. It's, again, every opportunity, or every time that you execute something that has to do with marketing, it's an opportunity to touch base, to connect, and engage or entertain your audience. Even if that means I'm going to the grocery store, it's the first time in 2 weeks, like, wish me luck. And that just being a very casual selfie video that you put on Facebook. If that is something that, obviously, like, everybody's going through that right now. Everybody can relate to that. And, if something funny happens, posting it, that's what I mean by producing content. Just posting, just being there, but being there with a purpose. And your purpose is to connect, to build, to entertain, to touch base with your target audience, to keep that relationship alive. So I don't want you to think that it needs to be something super fancy and designed every single time. It doesn't. Not saying that you shouldn't do it, like, you can do it, but that's not a requirement, right? All right. Next, let's see, I'm just going to check my time, make sure. Okay, we are an hour in. Any other questions before I move on? Absolutely. Absolutely. That is something that I love about targeting is, yes, you can get, down to the zip code. So, and then let's say, so if you think of tier 1 cities, that's like New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, tier 1, big cities. Then there's tier 2, where it could be like San Diego, Austin, Seattle, right? Like, can you think more like tier 2 or tier 3? If you see in general, like, let's say you want to promote a tour and you're going to be touring through tier 2 cities like Austin, because you notice that that's where people in your target audience tend to live. They don't live in the super big cities, so you're going to focus on kind of like smaller cities that are still well known. They're not in the middle of nowhere. You can focus advertising specifically to those areas, or even neighborhoods in those areas. That is how specific the targeting can get. So, or like if you're a local barbershop and you want to advertise only to your immediate neighborhood, you can do that. You can do that. So you can absolutely get very specific in targeting geographical areas. It's very powerful. Does this imply changing artistry through the process of finding target audience or recycling old material before release of it? So that's a really good question. A lot of people make the, so there's a fine line between delivering on your audience's needs and compromising your brand and your identity, right? So a lot of times companies or artists will try to be what they think their target audience wants instead of being who they are authentically and delivering that every single time. So for example, it's like, okay, I'm an artist and my style is pop. And I know that my target audience needs right now are to be entertained or to laugh or to make silly songs, or, you're going to deliver that type of content, but in your own style. You're not going to change who you are, because the minute you change who you are, you're going to have to reinforce that. And then you're going to start feeling like you're living a lie. And then one day the truth always comes out, and then everybody will feel like they were, like, your audience that thought they were following a specific type of person, truth is revealed, trust is lost, and then you have to start all over again. So, we saw that with Volkswagen and the emissions issues. Everybody thought that they were one thing, and then it turned out to be something else. And that's really, really hard to come back from. So artist content versus marketing content. If you have a really cool music video, put it out there. Definitely. And then here's an example. You could document the whole experience of making that music video. That's also marketing content. You can be like, oh, that really cool music video I posted a week ago? Well, here's all of the behind the scenes. Here's how we got to that point. That's really cool stuff. The only time marketing content needs to be like super like markety or like promotional is when you are launching that that campaign to sell whatever it is you have to sell. But by that time, you've already authentically built a relationship with these people, and they've got a feel for who you are, and they know who you are, so that it doesn't come across as gimmicky. Like, oh, I feel like I know this person. It just so happens that they happen to be selling something right now, and I love it, and I want to buy it. I hope that makes sense. When building your followers, when is the right time to create accounts that are separate from your personal account on social media? After a certain number of followers, or in the beginning when you create your branding? Really good question. And that, I know this answer will probably drive you crazy, but I'm gonna explain it. It's not the same for everybody, right? So for me personally, and this was my choice, I have an account for my marketing company, and then I have a personal account. And the reason being is, within the marketing, I want them to understand who I am, but from the standpoint of the value that I can deliver them. It doesn't mean that I'm not gonna not show who I am. It's not going to be sterile, right? Where it's like kind of like Apple, their marketing is very sterile. You can't really see that much behind the curtain, who's behind that anymore, right? So I have a personal account, and then I have my marketing account, but my marketing account shows me who I am as a person, as a consultant that can deliver value to them and still get a feel of who I am, you know, as a person through my work. If that makes sense. So, um, let's say I find it's really hard for artists to, I mean, unless you have a band, you will definitely want like a band page, but then every single band member will have their own page and they'll have their own followers. And we even know this within bands, like, yes, you have fans who are like devoted to the band overall, but they'll have the one band member that they just love. And everybody loves a different band member for different reasons. And that, again, kind of like bringing out the nuances in your audience. Why do they like one more than the other? What about what makes the type of person that likes one band member? What do they look like? And then another type of person, let's say like whoever likes the lead singer, those nuances are going to be different than people who like the drummer more or connect with the drummer more, kind of a thing. So depending on if you want to, maybe if you can elaborate on, does it have to do with your music or your business? Because I would like to, maybe I can shed a little bit more light on that. I see the artists who seem to maintain 10 or more social media accounts. Is it better to have a few social media channels or have as many as possible? So again, going back to just be where your target audience is. So oftentimes, again, people are just kind of throwing themselves out there. They spread themselves too thin, and they're in places where their target audience isn't even like really interested in. The best way you can do that is if you want, or to figure out where to focus, is right now, like, where do people interact with you the most? Where are people most engaged with you? And I would focus on those channels. If you want to experiment with other channels, you can definitely do that. See if it would be worth it to you. But again, you know, just exploring your current target audience. What are they posting? What are they pulling from other accounts or websites and sharing with other people? That will tell you where they are and where it would be worth it to be present. Considering the auction model that social media advertising works with, yes. Would an A/B test with the same campaign in different countries, continents make sense at all, or will it always have better results in a lower income environment? A/B test. Again, no matter where you go, the auction environment is a reality. That's how all advertising works. A/B testing, you will want to use the same campaign for sure. Because again, if you don't have a consistent campaign, you don't know which audience is going to work, right? So you want like one campaign, and if you are targeting from different areas, you want to see who responds the best. You're not going to know who's responding the best to something very specific if the campaign is different for different countries, right? Now, overall, you could say, okay, like, I'm just going to make this very simple. So let's say like Canada, US, Mexico, you show them a video campaign, and then use the same countries again, and you show a still picture campaign. You'll start to see those nuances and where to focus your energies. But like, it's not so much for lower income environments, because it also depends, like, what are you selling and how much are you selling it for, and therefore who is responding to that. So yes, you always want to keep the campaigns the same if you are A/B testing. If you don't, you're not going to know what's working and why. And then focusing on countries, obviously you're going to have to do more broad testing before you can see which countries respond the best, and then run with those. So if whatever reason you have more success in Asian countries than you do in European, after you've done your testing, like you'll know just to not waste your resources on that anymore. But initially you do have to consider them within A/B testing. I wouldn't focus on low income environment just to focus on it. I would focus on places that you see results from your A/B testing. Don't have more SM channels than you have to maintain. Oh yeah. Where might SEO and SEM intersect with the music world? For Michael, are you using SEO and SEM right now? I would say, that would be incredibly valuable to hone in on YouTube. And you're thinking about, what you have to offer as far as music is all like, it's audio and visual at the same time. And if you think about platforms that deliver that type of content really well, it is YouTube, it is Facebook, it is Instagram. So, but within SEO and SEM, you're going to be using that a lot in YouTube. What would you suggest doing with an existing social media account? Let's say 17,000 followers. If you had no brand strategy until now, okay? Sometimes I want to create stronger branding, and I'm not sure if changing the handle, deleting posts, or starting a new handle altogether would be shooting myself in the foot in terms of what I already have. Most of those 1,700 are people I have met in real life, friends of friends, from what I can tell. Okay, so when you're talking about focusing on branding, is that a kind of, really honing in on you can feel? I would say that once you feel like you have honed in on that, you've locked that in, and the past 9 posts are consistent with that, then I would start weeding out the stuff that isn't consistent with that. So older stuff. But I wouldn't cut it out right away if that's all you have right now. But if for the past 9 to 10 posts, you're starting to see a consistency, it all looks and feels the same. When you open up your Instagram, you see the first 9 posts. Do those look like they're related? Do those look like they belong in the same family, in the same brand? If so, anything that isn't in line with what you have focused on, what you've got locked down, I would weed those out, but I wouldn't weed it out immediately if that's all you're working with. How do you get your ideal customer to follow you if they've never heard of you, especially within a small geographical area? So within advertising, it would just be, so within ads, you have different calls to action. There are different campaigns that focus solely on building up followers. You could use that. You can write it in your marketing messaging. And then if you have the opportunity to follow these people and engage with them, that increases your chances of them following you back tenfold. To elaborate on the question about the 2 different accounts, I'm a musical theater actor, but I've started creating videos about sustainability. Okay, cool. And I'm wondering if I should continue putting the videos on my personal Instagram and YouTube, or create a separate account and create more dedicated followers. Right now I have some personal followers that I got while being in shows. People love musical theater and might not necessarily care about sustainability. Yeah, so definitely. So it depends. So if your purpose on sustainability is to just share knowledge, almost kind of like you're kind of blogging about it, yeah, I would create 2 different accounts. Sustainability is still, if it's your passion, it's still part of you, and that will flow over a little bit into your personal account, just like my marketing does in my personal account. If I'm speaking at an event, I'll post a story about it, or I might do a post about it, but my personal account isn't dedicated to talking about branding. It's about my journey through my life, which includes branding. So that could be the same thing for you for your musical theater account. It's about you and your journey through it, but not totally removing some, part of you, part of what makes you you. But musical theater accounts are for musical theater. Your sustainability account will be for sustainability, but that doesn't mean that it won't get, that it might flow over, because it's part of who you are. What would you recommend if your audience speaks various languages, run campaigns in one language bilingually, or run separate tests for different language communities? I would definitely, if they speak different languages and it is a country that English is not widely spoken, I would alter the language to fit, that country, because you want them to be able to read it and understand what's going on, right? It's just making sure that that is translated, that it's translated well. Yeah, I definitely suggest that. Piggyback on SEO and NCF on YouTube. How do you increase the visibility of your videos as a beginner? Is it very hard to get higher rank with a new account? Yes, I mean, you will have to put in the time and the work, and there's a lot of technical stuff that goes into that, but SEO and NCM is part of that. Tagging your videos, adding backlinks to your videos. If you don't know what those are, write that down and start looking that up. And using your YouTube videos in ads, if you can afford to do that. So you can use a YouTube video as the video part of your ad on Facebook, using that as your content. So you're kind of bridging two worlds, right? You're bridging your YouTube channel and your Facebook group together. So whoever is on Facebook and sees it but isn't following you on YouTube, that gives them a bridge over to your YouTube. Would an artist name, brand name, separate project, producer name for an individual be too much, or apply to different audiences? Is it conflicting? Have you seen this before? Artist name. Oh, so yeah, a lot of different names. I would say, what are you most known for? It can be, if this is for accounts, so Jimmy J would be the personal account, the Wall Walkers would be the band account, and then the album, you would be referencing James. That's how I would go about doing that. That's a very good question, and that does happen a lot. But making sure that, again, whatever page that you have, it has a number one goal that it's dedicated to. You will have your personal, you will have a band, but then you're going to have shout outs, right? Or you'll have like collaborations, right? There's plenty of artists that get together and they do a collaboration, and they both host it on both of their accounts, and they give a shout out to each other. So, and we call that, I call that straddle marketing. So, you're kind of, both of you would be leveraging both of your audiences to share, to give to one another. I'm glad it's helping out. I'm really glad. You did, absolutely. If you didn't do things quite right for the past release, is there a way you can revive it? Absolutely. Even if you were starting now, you'd be able to take everything that I've taught you today and start applying it, and where you're not stuck in one place. So absolutely. It's possible to have two different brands, mostly based on different genres, with most likely two different target audiences under one artist name, or is it necessary to focus on one genre? No, and the reason why is, if you think it is completely different, the audiences will be completely different. Very few of them will overlap. I wouldn't worry about that. Just make sure that the accounts are dedicated to those two genres, those two target audiences. If that happens to be you, that's totally okay. So I just have one more. It's just to package everything up nice and Beautiful. But then I will have, so the presentation is, an hour and a half, and then I've got another 30 minutes for all of the questions. So absolutely fire away. If you still have questions or you want me to go over certain slides, I can totally do that as well. So moving on, did I do this? Did I do this yellow thing? I don't know where that came from. Yeah, that's odd. So the marketing, just ignore it. The marketing cycle is, again, defining that number one goal, cultivating your audience, nurturing, connecting, messaging them, finding more. You just want to build and grow, build and grow, build and grow. Think about it as one big family that you're trying to cultivate and grow together. Marketing, messaging, connecting with them. So having your brand voice, the purpose behind what you are saying or doing, or the opportunity that you want these people to take advantage of as a result of seeing this, along with writing it within the context that makes sense to your target audience, using their own vocabulary. Engagement and connection. If people are giving you love, give the love back. People love that. It makes them know that there is a person behind this social media account. There is a real human being behind this product or this company or this music. People love seeing that. And those moments is what determines whether someone will be a true fan or not. And then promoting your offering. Once you feel like you've got a strong base, you've got a strong audience, dropping that opportunity for people to, there will always be people who are ready to pay more for more value, whether it's to pay to buy your music, to pay to buy your merch, to pay to buy your products. There will always be a percentage of your audience that is ready to do that, that wants to do that, that is looking for opportunities to do that. And if you've built a strong, solid audience, delivering that is a slam dunk. It's very, very easy. Just checking the chat. Okay, cool. Next is, so this is for Q&A. I am ready to take more questions, or if you want if you want me to go over any other slides, again, you're going to be able to, you'll get this in PDF form later. But yeah, fire away, guys. View one more time, the elephant. Yes, yes. I love that story. Okay, here we go. Backwards in time. All the way at the beginning. Here we go. So what is marketing? So I'm also going to write this out for you so that you, so that you have it. So you've kind of got this story for you, right? So let's say, so the circus is coming to town, and let's say you put the sign on a truck, or a billboard, or online, and you say the circus is coming to town. That is advertising, right? Now, if you put that sign on the back of an elephant and you walk it into town, that's promotion. You're promoting. If on the elephant you've got a blanket that has your logo on it draped over the elephant while it's walking around, that blanket, that logo, that identity that you've created on the elephant, that's branding. You are branding the elephant. It's not just any elephant, it's your elephant with your logo on it, right? Next is, let's say the elephant, walks through the mayor's flower bed, and the local newspaper writes a story about it. That's publicity. Is it good publicity? Is it bad publicity? I don't know. But if you make the mayor laugh about it, that is public relations. That's good PR, right? If the town citizens go to the circus, and you show them all of the entertainment booths, how much fun they're gonna have by buying tickets to the circus, going to the circus, and if they ultimately spend a lot of money at concession stands, whatever, that is sales. And if you do all of this, if you plan all of this and you execute all of this, that is marketing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps everybody. Elephanology. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I do provide here. Let me. I'll go back just like back. Oh, back links. Back like the like your backlinks for YouTube. Here, let me get all the way down for the my information. Okay, this is how you can contact me if you're interested. I do provide marketing services and consulting to artists, small businesses, all of that. So if you are interested, email me. I'd love to see how I can help you. And if I can't, for whatever reason, my network is very broad. So if you are looking for something that I can't deliver on, I will make sure you're in good hands. Just the 2K followers for successful A/B testing, advertising apply across social media platforms? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. 2K, obviously, the bigger the number, as long as they are authentic, real people and not the Vanity Metrics stuff, more is better. But 2K is pretty solid. 2K, 2, 3, 4, around that. And it, like I said, it doesn't take long if you are really going after it, you know, following people, engaging people, getting them to follow you back, that kind of a thing. Yeah, so backlinks. Do you have any more specific strategies, tools for organically building your audience, getting more Instagram followers or people to like your Facebook page? Yes. So what I do, so here's an example. I did this. I have a little black cat, and she is also a minx. She does not have a tail. Her spine just did not grow into, you know, a full tail. So I decided to test this stuff out by starting an Instagram for her from scratch. So I knew that if people either liked Manx cats or black cats, they would more than likely love My Little Cat Ink. So made one for Ink, went to all of these famous black cat accounts, all of the famous Manx cats, the cats without a tail, those accounts, started following their followers, engaging with their followers, going on to their Instagram accounts, commenting, liking, doing this every single day, 30 minutes at a time, 200 people at a time. You don't want to go over that, or else the Instagram will actually think that you're a bot, even though you're not. It's how you are going about doing it is very specific, and sometimes that can get flagged. So just make sure you pace yourself. But that, I grew her Instagram account like crazy and very quickly, just doing that 30 minutes a day. So that's a very simple, easy way to grow your audience and to get people to follow you back. As a musician, I feel it is really hard to get outside of the musicians network on socials, who usually are not the biggest sharers. Due to overload, I guess. Do you have any suggestions on how to reach people beyond that? So hard to get outside of the musicians network on socials. So are you saying that it's kind of like you are only friends with you're only friends with other musicians, and you don't have like followers that are not musicians? That does make sense. I would say you could harness that and maybe do like you know, like an Instagram live, kind of like making music together, and both your followers and their followers will watch it, and people who aren't musicians but like you or enjoyed the live session might follow you. But as if you really want to, if you want to get out of the musicians network and find more kind of like fans that aren't musicians, again, go to accounts similar to like what I did with my cat. Go to accounts, bigger accounts, more reputable accounts that have bigger followers, that are really using their account to entertain their fans. And if they have music or if they have content that's really similar to yours, more than likely the followers of that account will enjoy what you have to offer, and just go through there and start following them, liking their stuff, engaging with them. You'll start getting people to follow you back. And that's a really great way to, you are harnessing your current network of musicians to find fans by targeting their fans and delivering value to their fans that is similar to the value that they already enjoy in the current account that they're following. Is there ever a follow-up or prep for next harvest? Next harvest? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. Oh, after an album release? Absolutely. So again, let's say you launch an album or you release an album. If people, VIP experiences of you playing only for them, let's say right now online, people paying extra for that, or, um, putting up content about your journey to, writing and producing and like launching that album. People would love to see more of that. There's always content, there's always opportunities to pull content out of. So if you have, um, if you've documented that, give it to them. If they love the music, they're going to also love seeing behind the scenes and having more glimpses of your personality and who you are and sharing your experiences. They would definitely love that right now. Is defining your audience, other interests, the best way to identify potential company partnerships for content? Absolutely. I think that is a wonderful thing to do and to explore. Perfect thing, like, trying to think, like, is a great example. So, let's say you own a wine vineyard and you make wine, and you start to realize that the type of people that drink your wine and buy your wine love wine glass accessories, not just any wine glass accessories, but like pineapple themed accessories. You can then go out and find a company that does that and collaborate with them. That's a perfect brand partnership. Same thing with again, let's say death metal band, right? And you notice that people love zombie video games. You can go find Twitch streamers that stream video games, and they only play zombie video games. That's it. That's a perfect partnership, because more than likely people who like, there's always going to be a percentage of the people who like zombie video games and also like death metal, because you know that from looking at your audience, right? Perfect partnership. It's okay. Is there any way to recover fans from an older platform? A former band of mine had 65K followers on MySpace. Oh yeah. Our direction switched and I didn't think to stay in touch. The band is again active and I'm wondering, is there any way to somehow reconnect? Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure how long it's been and what the numbers are at now on that MySpace, but if they're active and they're there and they're looking for music, you can always use a platform to funnel people from there to where you want them to go. So again, that going back to the concept of you are plugging into traffic streams where your fans already are. That's a perfect example. Plugging in and getting them to feed into wherever you want them to go. Whether that's YouTube, you can post a YouTube video and say like, come see more here, follow me here, blah, blah, blah. Definitely do You can definitely do that, and you should be doing that. Another example, just so that we can understand from, different perspectives, is I had a client. I don't know if anybody is familiar with ASOS, ASOS, but they're an online retailer. They wanted to get more sales on their direct website instead of online platforms like Amazon and stuff. And so we used their posts on things like Amazon or Taobao, promoting better deals on their website, so that they would just click onto their website and buy from their website anyway. So harness those platforms, those traffic resources, by enticing them to explore more, to get more value, to learn more on the platforms that you want them to go. It is 100% possible. Do you think now is the time to get online because everyone is at home scrolling? Absolutely. There is no better time, because that's all we're doing. All we're doing is sitting, looking at our phones, online, on the computer. If there is any time, I've told everybody this, and it's like, if there is any time to be getting into online marketing, it is 100% now. Do it now, because there's no distractions. Nobody can do anything but be online, or sit like in a chair twiddling their thumbs. What are you going to do? You're going to be online, or you're going to be reading, or whatever. But this is where all of their eyeballs are here, all of them, because there's nothing else to do. And what we call those high dwell situations, and for long periods of time. So they're sitting somewhere, or they're looking at something for a long time, and you want to be where their eyeballs are. Their eyeballs are on social media and online. Just get there. Just be there. Be there for them to discover you, and you will see results. So this is the best time to be doing that. Oh yeah, ASOS is like, I love ASOS. But yeah, that was an example. So the reason why, going back to ASOS, is because in China, Taobao Alibaba, that is like their Amazon, and they don't give any customer information, no audience information to companies that sell on their platform. So like, okay, then why are we doing this? We don't know anything about our customers. We can't study anything. It's not like Google and Facebook here, where you have a lot of visibility into that. And so they wanted to pull from there, but there's so many sales, because like, it's like Amazon, but on steroids. They're getting so many sales from there. So like, how do we get them? How do we still sell, but on our website, but keep our numbers, maintain our numbers? And so we just use that platform as kind of like a glorified advertising promotion portal to get them to buy on their website. So it ended up working out really well for them. And that can work out for you too. If you've got an audience somewhere that you want to shift to another place, use that as your platform to promote more value that they could get somewhere else by clicking, bam, there. Do you think that Instagram posting calendars are still valid, or does it not matter anymore since we don't stays during quarantine? So Instagram posting calendars, in general, I would say posting once to twice a day on Instagram is a good idea. I know that like the days melt into one another, and it's kind of like we're in this weird limbo. Honestly, you could get by with posting more without being annoying, because we're just online so much now. Once to twice a day is fine. Posting calendars, and that is really useful if you, again, you've got a goal and you're working a timeline backwards from it. So seeding information, building up excitement, building up anticipation. Oh, it's a month away, it's 2 weeks away, it's 1 week away, it's 2 days away, bam. That is when a calendar would be really very useful, and takes away all of the guessing. You don't have to think about it every single day. You've got it out in front of you. You can follow it. 1 to 2 day on your story or actual post. Good question. 1 to 2 posts a day, and then stories, sky's the limit. Honestly, if people love you, and you want to share something, but you feel like it's not important enough to be like a post, put it in a story. People love stories, and they love Instagram Live now. That's like all, especially for musicians and DJs. I'm sure you've seen DJ Nice like exploding over this. Like, take advantage of it for sure. Are there under normal circumstances Peter days or better days and or times to post content? So used to be, not anymore. The algorithm changed. Now you don't see, which is kind of tricky. You don't see content based on when it was posted, except for stories. Stories are chronological as far as time, but posts are, you see posts from accounts that you engage with the most. That's why engagement and encouraging engagement and talking to people and getting people to comment and like your stuff is so important, because the more they engage with you, the more they're going to see from you. So, and we've all seen this with Facebook, where you see a post that was posted like a couple days ago, so it's not a chronological thing. And there aren't quote unquote better times to post. I would harness timing though, since stories both on Facebook and Instagram are chronological. I would post at times that people are more than likely going to be watching. And again, this is like, if it was like non-quarantine, you're going to be thinking Friday afternoon before people get off of work. The work week is ending. People are starting to kind of like blow stuff off a little bit. So Friday afternoons are good. Saturday, Sunday, midday is generally a good time. So that is definitely those are ideal times for stories. Posts, you just doesn't matter, as long as you're doing like 1 to 2 a day. Tips for getting more Facebook likes for your professional page without finding them on your personal account. I believe you can only invite friends. So I would be doing, so Facebook has specific campaigns only for only for page likes. So yes, I know what you're talking about. The only thing you can do is if that is your aim, you'd have to pay for a little bit of promotion. Otherwise, you can build up likes through trying to harness your not only your Facebook personal account, but like on any other account that you're on. You can be like, hey, if you're on Facebook, you're like, hey, if you want like detailed updates, go to my my business, my professional page and like it, so that you can get more, because I can only put so much on Instagram. Or the same thing, anytime you post anything on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, put all of your links on there, all of them. Give people all the information they need to make one click likes or follows or whatever. Make it as easy as possible. Instagram also has Linktree. I don't know if y'all have heard about this. This is a free application where, because you can only put one link in your Instagram bio, that link can be what's called a link. It's literally called Linktree. And when they click on that, several links pop up. So you could have a link for your official Facebook, a link to your YouTube, a link to your website, a link to a store. You could put all those things on there, on that link tree, that automatically pops up when they click that one link option that they give you on Instagram. It's free. Linktree. Google that. That's a really good one. That's another great way to just send people directly to wherever you want them to go, if it's including like a Facebook professional account. Would you say that there are platforms that are irrelevant, or is that a question answered mostly by pursuing where you're getting interaction? Yeah, it's irrelevant for you if your target audience doesn't engage with you there. So what's irrelevant for you, or what is relevant for you, is going to be different for you versus other people, right? Because we all have different people who have different interests, and you get their content from different places. The only things that are irrelevant is where you're not getting interaction from, and that's all you have to care about. Okay. Yes. Linktree. I love Linktree. It's awesome. So, you could promote like 5 different things on Instagram and be like, all of it's in the link in my bio, my website, my Facebook, my merch page, da 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 da. And you can get very specific with the link to where if you're like, this t-shirt that I'm wearing right now, that I just designed is in the link in my bio. And then they click on the Linktree thing, they pop it up. One of the buttons says, my t-shirt I just designed. It's all, there aren't pictures, but it's like text. And you can click on it. That exact link that you put there can go to be at the checkout page with that t-shirt on your merch page. And they can 2 clicks buy. You want to make it as easy and straightforward as possible. You don't want to send them on a wild goose chase because then you're going to lose them. You want bing, bang, boom. It's really great. I love Linktree. You can upgrade, but it's not necessary. You will get everything you need out of the free version. Okay, we got 8 minutes left. If y'all are good, I'm good too. Last minute questions. If not, we'll wrap it up here.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Anne-Marie. I know I learned a ton. This was amazing. So thank you so much again. And then for everybody who had joined us as well. Like Anne-Marie said, we'll be sending this out, a link to the presentation as well as PDFs for the presentation itself, and stuff like that. And then for all of the alumni that joined us, thank you for being here and spending a couple of hours with us this afternoon. A morning, depending on time zones. And just a reminder that we do have 2 more webinars coming up this week alone. One is on financial literacy, that's tomorrow, and then on Thursday, looking at music therapy. But this is great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.